Hello, I wanted to make a complete beginner-friendly guide to faction warfare, and I wanted to do it as compressed as possible. In short, at all times, all the Empire factions are at war in pairs. So that looks like the Caldari are fighting the Galente, and the Amar are fighting the Mimitar. In 2023, they added two pirate factions. One of them is Angel Cartel, who are fighting the Amar and Mimitar. And they added the Garistas Pirates, who are fighting the Caldari and the Galente. I'm going to join an Empire faction because that's easier to get into, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So in order to help you to decide who you want to join, there's a couple of reasons you would pick one over the other. Big thing is some kind of roleplay reason, like the Amar are slavers, the Mimitar are freed slaves fighting back, the Galente are democratic to a fault, and the Caldari are a mega corporation that is now running a nation. So that's one reason. Another reason might be the corporation or alliance that you are going to be joining is already engaged in faction warfare, so they might decide for you where you're going to go. The last reason is because you like their ships, and although you are not required to use a specific faction ships within faction warfare, it just fits the aesthetic, and you can buy catalyst cheaper in Galente space than you can, say, a Caldari destroyer. So I'm going to be going with the Caldari state because I like going to Jeddah, and a major part of faction warfare is that you are enlisting in a war between two empires. When you do so, you can't go into the enemy empire's high-sec space anymore, because they'll send faction navy police after you, who will blow up your ship, which means practically you're cut off from that empire's high-sec space. So, going Caldari, I can still fly to Jeddah. If I were Galente, I would be basically soft-locked out of Jeddah because of the NPCs and the enemy players, which goes back to another part. You are at war with not just the faction NPCs of the enemy faction, that includes all the players who are enlisted in faction warfare on the enemy side. So I'm looking at the Caldari. This screen tells you a little bit of stuff like, oh, don't enter Galente space because you are a war target. Yep. And it tells you why you're going to do this, because you're going to get LP, which you can turn into ISK. So the first thing we're going to look at is, can I join and how will I join? There are three paths. You can join solo by yourself. You can join a corporation who is already enrolled in faction warfare, or you can enroll your own corporation. The only requirement to join a faction is to have base standings over 0. So that means not including any skill bonuses. Here, my base standing is 1.5, so I'm good to go. But I could not join the Garistas Pirates because my base standing is minus 2.2. When you go to most stations, they'll have a factional warfare module, which you click on it. It'll ask you, you want to join an Empire faction or a pirate side? We're going to go to the Empire side, tell them Caldari. And down here it's going to be enlist solo, and because I am a corporation CEO, I can say enlist my corporation. For the third option, where you join a corporation enrolled in faction warfare, it's automatic, and you cannot actually drop out of it. When your corporation is enrolled, you are permanently enrolled unless the corporation takes everybody out. So I actually don't want to hit enlist me yet, because to make life easier on me, I'm going to move my stuff over to the war zone before joining. because if I join now, I am already a war target. So it just increased the risk. If you go to activities, faction warfare, it should open up a map. Mine happens to be the Caldari and Galente one, because I because I am a Caldari character. It's already open up on the Galente and Caldari war. Basically, these are all the systems that are enrolled into faction warfare, and then they are tiered. These bright colored systems are going to be the frontline systems. You click on them, it will tell you the systems are frontline. The little bit darker shades are going to be command systems, command operation systems, and then the darkest shade is going to be rearguard systems. These are tiered. Basically, frontline is going to have the most fighting, and rearguard will probably have none, basically. And these systems that are not in the war zone but are on the map, they're only on here because as the frontline moves, that could include these systems. Just not at the moment. They're not involved because these shades only go out so far from the frontline systems. One thing that sticks out on the map is the shipcaster icons. There's one for both sides. I don't see the Galente one, but I do see ours, the interstellar shipcaster. It's a one-way portal to one of 3 locations. So here's the icon for the entrance, and you zoom out, and these 3 icons are the exits. We're going to go take the shipcaster because it's pretty convenient, and I will check that the stations here have a faction warfare facility. I will do that by going to the system, clicking the stations tab, checking the stations, and they have a militia office. So I can enroll there, I don't have to do it now. What I'm going to do now is to get a cheap ship because I'm new, therefore I'm going to fly something cheap. And the cool thing about faction warfare is that you can still contribute and make money as a completely new person. In fact, I think faction warfare is one of the best ways a new person can make money. And I can personally attest to that because I started doing faction warfare like 3 months into playing the game, and I think it's worked out well for me. So as we're flying there, the faction warfare mechanics are actually pretty easy to find in the agency screen. There are missions and there are combat signatures in the faction warfare space. I'll just say I've never done the faction warfare missions before, but I've heard they are similar, just that they are in faction warfare space. The main mechanic are these combat signatures within faction warfare space. Here on the agency screen it also has some, I think, pretty thorough tips, and I will put in the links to the EVE Wikipedia page on faction warfare, which is very thorough. So here it tells us we want to attack sites, also known as complexes, or shorten the plexes by the player base. We want to attack them in order to flip the system. Defenders can also defend plexes instead of just attacking them. And complexes are cosmic anomaly sites that are shown in your probe scanner window. So that's really all we need right now. I'm going to go to the station to sign up.
Warp drive active.
So now I'm in a station that I hypothetically chose as my new home because it's next to the war zone, and this system in particular has the shipcaster beacon. So I can decide where I want to go in the war zone. I'm going to go here, Empire, Caldari, enlist me, I'm going to go solo. So I just relogged real quick because when you join and when you leave it doesn't update immediately while you're in game. So I just did a quick restart. Now you can see in the top left, cross swords here, it knows that I'm in faction warfare. Another new thing is that now there's militia chat, which is going to have other people enrolled in my militia that I can talk to and coordinate with. And we'll go to local, and you can see that the game has changed the standing for a lot of these people, telling me that they're also in your militia. And if you're familiar with the war mechanics, then the enemy militia is going to be red, telling me that I can shoot at them. So I am in a cheap frigate. It's not going to be able to do the hard sights, but it's cheap for a new person and it can do enough to make money. I'm going to go ahead out and dock. I'm going to look for the shipcaster. I'm going to just warp to it at 0.
Warp drive active.
I'm going to go ahead and open up my probe scanner. There's nothing here. Okay. I filtered out everything but anomalies because these signatures we're going to go to are on the anomaly filter. So I'm here at the shipcaster now. I'm going to wait a second. When you land, a new thing will pop up. It tells you where it is currently connected to. You see those 3 systems. Go back here. Here's one to Oix, Odame, and is it this one? Nagamini. Every 2 minutes, it will switch between one of the 3, and here you can see it tells you when your system will come up. I'm just going to take the first one to Oix. Where's Oix? Yeah, sure. So there's a 1 minute where it's charging, and then 1 minute active, and then it would switch to Odami. It'll charge for 1 minute, and then it would be 1 minute active. I'm just going to go here. So I just hit launch, and it's going to throw me out in my destination. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to warp to the sun,
Warp drive
and
active.
I'm going to make a safe spot in between that I can hang out on. So now I'm in faction warfare space. Here is the shipcaster out beacon. That's not it. Here's the shipcaster out beacon. I'll warp back to it while I am looking around, but what you should know is that these are one-way,
Warp drive active.
and they could actually be destroyed and rebuilt by players in different systems. These are not static positions. Someone for X, Y, or Z reason has decided to deconstruct one and move it here. So here I am. It's defended by our NPCs who are blue, and it could be shot by the enemies if they really wanted to, but it's usually not worth it. And you can see there's no way to go back. What we do have is a lot of combat sites. We are going to be looking at, well, we could do both, but we're going to be looking at the Caldari ones. The Garistas ones are probably too hard for us, and it looks like there are a lot of Garistas pirates here, trying to farm a little money. Oh, it's all one guy. Okay, cool. You could also see that we have some of these are in the overview. You may notice a discrepancy that there's a lot more here in the probe scanner than there is on the overview. That is because in regards to the complexes, that means someone has warped to it, And when you warp to a site that has not been touched before, it's going to pop up in the overview. So I'm going to descan, make it very short. Going to scan a site. There's nobody in this Caldari Scout, Navy 5. I'm going to warp to it. Let's see, we should
Warp
see it
drive
pop up.
active.
No, it's already been on here. Let's see if I can make one new one. Okay, I don't think the open has been warped to before, so it should pop up. There it
Warp
goes.
drive
Caldari
active.
open, but I'm not going to do that. So I actually am going to restart. So I just warped to the Caldari Scout Navy 1. I can drop my D-scan down to 0.1 and scan, and I notice that there's no one in there. That's really good to know, because this is going to warp
Warp
you,
drive
I
active.
don't know how far, less than 0.1, and if you see someone in 0.1, either from the gate or inside the site, that means they're absolutely there. There's like no uncertainty. So now that we're in a site, I'm going to close that for a second. You should see everything that I see in your game. If not, you need to mess with your overview settings. Most important part, I think, is that there's a beacon. This is the warp-in beacon. This is where you land, plus or minus like 2,500 meters. So if you are in a site protected by a gate, you should expect everyone to come to this beacon, because you cannot warp here. Everyone has to take the gate, and everyone will land around here. If you're like me and you're in a brawling ship, that means you should probably hang out around the beacon so you can catch people coming in. The next thing is there's a large collidable object to indicate the center of the site. There's also another beacon for it. We zoom out. This red ring, that is the boundary of the site, which is roughly 30 kilometers. Up, above, downside, it's a circle, 30 kilometers. So you can orbit 25 and you'll still be in here. Go to 30, it's going to take you out. The next thing we're looking at is that there is a bar in the middle. It has a timer, and it tells you who's taken the site. Because I'm in the Caldari state, the Caldari militia is capturing this site, and there is a NPC protecting it. So one thing that confuses new players is that all the factional warfare Plex NPCs are going to be red. We're in the same faction, Caldari state, so he's chill with me. I don't have to shoot him. If we were enemies, he would be attacking me right now, and this timer would not be going down. The timer only goes down when there are no enemies in the complex with you. So what I'm doing right now is called defensive plexing, because I'm a Caldari militia member in a Caldari site. It pays out less. I'll put the chart up, but it's like a defensive site is going to pay out 75% of a offensive site of the same, tier, which doesn't sound that great, but defensive plexing is going to be a lot safer for new players, and when you're not killing the NPC, it makes it easier. So because I'm defensive plexing, I could technically do any of the sites, because I'm not required to kill this guy to put the timer down. I'll show you that in a bit. What we'll look at now is the naming convention for the signatures. Caldari tells you whose site it is. The next part is going to be the size of ships allowed. So I'm in the Scout. Scout means frigate. Small means destroyer. Medium means cruiser. Large means battle cruiser. And open means battleships and above. The next part is the tech, so that's going to be Navy or Advanced. The Navy ships means only Tech 1s and faction ships. So I'm in a Scout Navy, which means I can only bring a Tech 1 frigate or a faction frigate. The Advanced things means obviously you can bring any of the Tech 1s or factions, but you could also bring Tech 2s. In the rare case that you want to fly a Tech 3 in faction warfare, you can do that, but it has to be a Advanced of the next ship size. So if I wanted to fly a Jackdaw, I could totally do that, but it would have to be medium advanced sights. It could not go in the destroyer sight. Another thing is we have these numbers at the end of the naming conventions that tells you how many players will get paid out at this site before you get diminishing returns. I'm on a one person site. That means if there was another person in here, the payout would be 50% divided or given to both of us. The other sizes you're going to see is 5 players, and the battlefields, which will be 30 players. I don't think there are any right now. No. They will have their own icon on the map. But I'm not seeing any right now, so I can't show you that, but they are for 30 players. Some of the pirate ones can go up to 10 players. One thing to note is the open complex. That means battleship advanced, and it pays out to 5 people, even though it doesn't say that. So while you're in a system or from the map, you can see these little bars going on, and then in systems over here, the contest rate is a measurement of the activity, and it tells you who has the advantage. So I'm in 06, which is over here. I'm not too smart on this, and it doesn't really matter for a new person, but basically you want to get your number to 100% by doing activities, and the harder sites will give a little bit more than the smaller ones. You see that in the objectives. They give you some little indicators on what costs more, what gives you more, and once it hits 100%, you're going to be allowed to shoot a structure called an iHub and turn the system to your militia. So this one's already Caldari. We're just trying to keep it Caldari from Galente. While we're in this system, there's a pirate insurgency that has spread to the system. That just means that's a whole different mechanic, but it will overlap with you because the pirate insurgencies spawn in faction warfare space. As you can see, there's quite a lot in here. Yep. What you need to know now is that when a system hits stage 5 corruption, that just means that the system becomes lawless and that the pirates can put up bubbles, warp disruptor bubbles. But it will tell you before going into a lawless system, hey, by the way, did you know this one's lawless? So don't worry about that too much. See, our site is about to be done. The smalls and the scouts, those are 10-minute timers. Everything else is 15-minute timers. When it hits 0, everyone within the 30-kilometer ring will get paid out. So if you're a fast kitey ship, when that timer is about to hit 0, make sure you are actually in the ring and you didn't slide out on accident. the site just finished. We got standings from, or for, Caldari militia, Caldari faction, and the State War corporation. We also got paid out some loyalty points. This is where we get our money from, because none of these sites, I think the missions do, but the whole money-making part of faction warfare is going to be from selling your LP, which I'll show you later. So, we have a friend, he popped in, he's blue because he's in our militia. Next thing we're going to look at are supply points. These are not on the probe scanner. They spawn randomly throughout the front lines and command systems. We'll warp to one now. This is ours, so we want to keep it safe.
Active.
But because it's a, well, you see. So here's a supply point. For some reason, these faction warfare NPCs are blue, but they're Caldari, so they're not going to shoot me. What you can do here, and you probably can't do it as a new player, is that to complete this, you have to shoot a large collidable object, which might not be on your overview. You have to shoot this until it blows up, and when you do so, up to 5 players will get paid 15,000 LP. And while you're doing that, if I were the enemy, these NPCs would be shooting me, trying to stop me, and they'll respawn. But these are pretty good ways to make money if you are in cruisers and stuff, because you can do them pretty fast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you why defensive plexing is so broken, and that's because you can do bigger sites than your ship is worth. The open here is one of the few sites that are not protected by a gate, so I can just warp straight to it. And normally the open sites are for very big ships of any tech, but I'm in a fucking Merlin, and I will show up and see what's going on. See, it has the 30-kilometer ring, just there's no gate. I can warp to it from any side. Here's our protector. They're in a battle cruiser because this site is supposed to be for bigger ships. And I'm just going to fly around. You see the timer's still going down. He's not shooting me. That's because I'm defending the site. So if I was really inclined, I could wait here until this goes down to 0, and I would get paid out, well, better than if I'm doing scout sites. Now, I guess I can go get blown up. Let me go to a Galente system, because I want to do a offensive site. I want to capture a site, and I will get paid out a lot better for doing that. I also might run into an enemy who is probably going to beat me, because while this is not actually a new character, they have almost no combat skills, which is part of the reason they're in a Merlin. One thing to look out for is that the pirate insurgencies will spawn NPCs around the gates, and they do shoot you, so don't chill on the gate if you see them. Now I'm in Galente space. I'm going to make another safe spot to chill at, so I'm just going to warp to the sun. This also is not the best way to make safe spots, but it is the most convenient. That seems good. So in here, Galente system, you can see they own most of the circle, and we're slowly working on it. And if we were to get the system to 100%, oh, he warped away. Damn it. If we were to get the system to 100%, then we could go and shoot the
Warp
infrastructure
drive
hub
active.
and take over the system. Where's the iHub? It's always on the overview. I can't find it right now. Well, it's on here somewhere. First thing, let's see. Do user D-scan. Some frigates on here. We are going to look at the scouts, because that's the ones we fit into. And well, we fit in all of them. I want to see where those other frigates are. So I'm scanning. They are in the Scout Navy 1. And let's look at local. They're probably friendly, so I'm just not. Actually, we'll go look.
Warp drive
So,
active.
descanning it, low angle. So we're actually just looking at the site. If I made it bigger, it's going to get other stuff. Well, not this time. So I'm going to go to the gate. I'm going to drop the range to 0.1, which means absolutely what's in the site. For some reason, one of them left. I'm going to go slide in, see what's going
Warp
on.
drive active.
Okay, the site might have just disappeared. Nope, there's an enemy in here. They're sitting on the beacon because they're probably close range fit. So I'm going to turn on everything. So I want to get close and shoot them hard and fast. Okay. I have a feeling they're going to win. You can see the enemy NBC here is targeting me and shooting me. Fuck. Let's see if I can get away. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So I'm going to
Warp
fly
drive
away.
active.
So that kind of sucks, but I am just flying a Merlin, whatever. So that's why we start cheap, so why we get used to everything. It doesn't cost a lot to lose. And now I know that Kestrel beats Merlin. So what I want to do is
Warp drive active.
go buy a new ship. But that's basically everything you need to know to get started. So, to recap, fly something cheap, start off doing defensive plexing, and then go get blown up, and so you learn better. That's it. I will make another video on how to sell your LP, because you can't live off of LP, you can't buy a ship of it, you have to turn it into ISK, and I will help you do that. And before you go, if you are brand new, you might not know that there are referral codes in EVE, where if you sign up with it, you get 1 million skill points, and I get a little something. So if that's something you haven't done yet, you can go to the description, and you can just click on it, and you'll get 1 million skill points, which will help you get into bigger ships.